welcome to the Rural Roots Canada podcast. I'm your host, Tim Parent, alongside Craig Lester. And Craig, last week was the Alberta Farm Writers Association spring tour. And there were a lot of places that tour stopped across Alberta.
Yeah, so this is all up in the northeast corner of the province. We started at Chatsworth Farm on the one Wednesday. It was a fantastic stop there. I mean, the family is so accommodating and has great hospitality. And as some of our viewers and listeners know, you and I were up there last year for Alberta Open Farm Days, and it was just a great time to stop there. And then obviously the tour carried on, and they went up to the Cold Lake area where they went to a fish hatchery, had some great eats, went to an ecotourism location. They went to a flower farm. There's a lot of great stuff, and our reporter Adeline Aris was on that part of the tour, and she's going to be filing a lot of stories in regards to what different stops we had on the tour. And honestly, if you want to take a look at some of those stops, you can always check out our Facebook and our social media pages where we included a lot of photos from the stop. But yes, as we started Chatsworth Farm, and again, it was a great stop, and it was awesome to learn in regards to how they've diversified their business, really are leaders in the province when it comes to agritourism, and have really taking consumers on a journey with them in regards to their farm. And honestly, anytime we're there, so then you always learn something in regards to, and I'm a farm kid, obviously, and I mean, I learn stuff when I go there, and it's just an awesome stop to partake in. And thank you again to the Wasilyk Farm for doing that. But we did sit down with Charlotte after our tour to talk a little bit about how they've diversified their business, how they grow it through partnerships with their tourism side and their farm to table part of their business.
So tell us a little bit about the tour today that you walked the Alberta Farm Writers through.
It was really lovely to have the Alberta Farm Writers here for a tour. It's a group of people who are very understanding and very knowledgeable about agriculture, but just like so many tours, I think no matter how much you know about one subject, there's still always something that you can learn and see. And definitely going on farm tours, even though you can be so familiar, seeing how different farms have their system set up and how they have their cattle handling facilities designed. So it's really nice to be able to share our farm with such a knowledgeable, amazing group. So it's great to have them, and it's really nice questions, because I do a lot of tours for students who are on the younger side. So it's very basic questions that they're wanting to know about. And then questions from the general public. So just wanting to understand a little bit more about how an animal is raised. Whereas the questions that this group has is sort of those very intimate questions, which we don't often get to answer that much because we're not asked them directly in tours. So that's really a nice opportunity.
So what's one of the special things about what you guys do here at Chatsworth Farm is your integration of agritourism, farm to table. Can you tell us a little bit about the growth that you've seen on this, where it started, where you're at now, and maybe even some of the learnings that have happened along the way?
We've had a lot of learning. When I first started with our farm to table program, especially delivering meat to Edmonton, I would make a map of where all of our customers are, and I would jot that all out, so I would have it minute to minute as to when we're delivering to each house. And it got to a point where that just wasn't feasible anymore. So then we changed to now we do parking lot pickups. We give customers 30 minutes and they meet us at those locations. So that has changed a whole lot. We've integrated a new website, so it's a little bit like Shopify, but it's specifically for farms that are selling their produce, their meats, their eggs. It's called Local Line. And so that has just given me so much time back, because as a farmer, you've got so many things that are pulling you in all of these different directions. And while I want to be able to give my time in the places that need it, something automated like integrating that new website has given me so much time back, and my reports are so much better. I can really break things down. So I am a little hard on myself for not adding that sooner, but it's just one of those pieces that you're learning. And I think when I first started, I didn't see our farm to table part of our business becoming such a large part. And so that's maybe why I was hesitant to do something like that, to really take that next step and really progress us into really being scalable, which we are now, because I'm able to have those systems in place. And then just all the different changes when it comes to really realizing what customers are wanting and really understanding what a carcass can give me. When I first started, I would do my side A and my side B, the exact copies, and now I'll do side A and side B on an animal differently, so I can get, say, 1 pound of ground beef and 2 pounds out of the other side. So really just working with my butchers and finding out what works seasonally, which now is not such of a priority because everything is popular no matter the time of year, but just really working and continuing to push the greatness that some cuts are, the ones that are maybe a little bit less popular, in terms of, say, beef shanks versus some of the roasts, where now everything is, I think, at a very level playing field, which is important when you are selling meat like you are, because every part of the animal is important.
Another amazing things that you have going on here is just dozens of partnerships, like whether it's your Alberta Open Farm Days, other initiatives that you're taking in. Sort of thing is, I guess, tell us a little bit about how much you value these partnerships and what you've learned from having them, and how you grow them.
I think I grow them just in a very organic way, just with what we do. And a lot of organizations and businesses have really close ties to agriculture, whether they're in agriculture, whether they're adjacent, or just have a passion for supporting farmers. So some of those partnerships are out of actual business relationships that we have with our machinery dealerships, our insurance companies, our financial institutions. So those are those immediate ones that we work with day to day. So it's fantastic that they support us, and that's something special that you get out of smaller communities. But then we also have some much larger partnerships that are companies on a national scale. And it's just connecting everything that they do to what we do. Their core pillars about sustainability and inclusiveness in terms of community, but then also local systems, so local food and local beverages, things like that. And really, without those local and broader partnerships, what our Open Farm Days is today, or what we did last year and previous years, it really wouldn't be what it was, because they allow us to bring in all of the fantastic musicians, all of the rentals, whether they are beautiful, like some of the tents that we dress up, but then also some of the functional, like the porta potties and the hand wash stations. We really couldn't have the event that we do without them, so they're integral to those big events like Open Farm Days for us.
Any questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I was wondering how your Open Farm Days started.
It started out of COVID, so it was really one of the only summer events that was able to happen in 2020. The Alberta government gave special dispensation to Alberta Open Farm Days because it's generally outside. And we had started doing virtual farm tours that came out of me being inspired by the Cincinnati Zoo doing virtual safaris. And that just spiraled into people wanting to visit our farm in person. And Open Farm Days has been happening for over a decade. So it was just that natural integration of, we're already doing this online to now we can do something in person. And it was just a lot of fun. So really what we did today for your group is the exact same what we do for Open Farm Days, generally a little bit more, but we still do the farm tour is a huge piece of it, and we walk everybody from where we started and go along the trail, and we stop at all the different animal groups and ask all the questions. So it really looks very similar to what it looked like when we first started, but now we have cooking demos, we have our artisan farmers market, community partners, there are machinery demos. We had a lovely, what we called community canvas, so a local artist did some outlines of photos that I took so that people could then color in those outlines of the animals. We had rock painting, so rocks from our fields that were cleaned, and so kids could then paint them. So just everything is tied back to what we do on our farm, and it makes for a really beautiful and special day. And it doesn't matter if you've never been to a farm or you're a neighbor of ours who lives 5 minutes down the road. It's really for everybody, and I'm really excited that that is what it's been for so many. That's what it's just the natural outcome of it. It's just a special day.
And then you said that your farm has already changed so much in even the last few years. So what changes do you hope to see kind of in the future of your farm? So.
For our farm, it's going to look like a little bit more of, for my side anyway, increasing our farm to table programs. So we have many freezers in this space right now. So for me, I want to take a look at getting a grant or being able to actually have a walk-in freezer, because right now, when I tell people how many freezers we have, that it's great, but it really doesn't work from a management standpoint. I lose a lot of time going from this freezer and back and forth. So just having one central point would make things, again, just adding to those efficiencies, increasing our sheep flock so that we can just have a few more that we can sell, and we can develop that a little bit better. And then working with programs like ALICE, Alternative Land Use Services, Ducks Unlimited, to really increase and maintain the grasslands and the pastures that we have, because without them, it's really hard to raise livestock. So really working to bettering those pieces of land.
Am I allowed to ask one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering, before you were talking about how you do personalized letters to your community and how much harder it is, but I was wondering, why do you think doing things so locally and being so connected to your community is important in your farming business?
It just makes a difference, because there are times that I will support I support local businesses very, very frequently. And so when you do have that small little touch that they've given you, and there are the ones that do get them printed, because I know how much work it takes. So that is one extra step that if you could automate it, it makes your life so much easier, and time is money. But when people have that connection to our farm, it is really special. And now having customers who are they're growing their families, so their children are growing up eating our meat, and that's really nice, because so many farmers don't actually have the opportunity to connect with the people who are actually directly eating their food. So they know that their food is being raised and produced and it's going out there somewhere, but they don't actually get direct feedback or just a verbal thank you, which I think is quite sad. So when our customers even just post on Instagram and they're saying that they're cooking our steaks or our lamb chops that night, that's really special, because we know exactly how that animal was raised and they know that too. So being able to have that actual direct connection is really special, and I wish more farmers had the opportunity to experience that, because there's really no better feeling than that.
That's Charlotte Wasilyk from Chatsworth Farm. Thank you again to Charlotte and her family for hosting us on that part of the tour. And again, there'll be plenty of articles from that tour coming up on ruralrootscanada.com, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, and we have a history with Charlotte and Chatsworth Farm, and it's such a great place to visit. And she's has participated in the past in Alberta Open Farm Days. So keep an eye on that. I'm not sure if she's doing it this year, but she usually every so often does take part. And if you ever get a chance to go up there on an Alberta Open Farm Day, it's such a great event, and she does such a great job of promoting agriculture. That is such a strength of hers, and you'll follow her on social media, follow the farm. They do some really great work up there.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not able to host it this year, just in regards to some scheduling conflicts. But yes, every year has been an exceptional experience there, where they bring the farming community together for Alberta Open Farm Days.
So from the northeast corner, we go all the way down to Medicine Hat and the Cypress Farm and Ranch Show, which was held last week.
So yes, able to attend the Cypress Farm and Ranch Show in Medicine Hat. And yes, I was joined there by Kristen Lepp, our social media specialist. And it was just an absolute great show again, to be able to sit and talk with all the different exhibitors, to take place in the country market, and to see a lot of the things that they have going on down there. There's a lot of great seminars, and there'll be some articles that come out of some of those seminars that I attended while I was down there. And I think the other thing was just in regards to how this show gives back. This year they did a fundraiser with the comedian Quick Dick McDick. Obviously, a lot of our listeners are probably familiar with his videos on social media and have been to his shows. It's always a good time when you attend one of the things. And the great thing about this show this year was that they raised money for Halo Air Ambulance. They raised about $2,500. And after the show, I was able to sit down and talk with the CEO of Halo.
All right, so Paul, tell us a little bit about Halo and all of it is the Cypress Farm and Ranch Show this week.
Yeah, so Halo is a nonprofit helicopter emergency medical services based in Medicine Hat. We fly a BK-117 helicopter, and we have a second one as a backup, and we've been doing that since 2007. So we're able to cover all of southern Alberta, from the Saskatchewan border to the BC border and all the way down to the US border. Cypress Farm and Ranch reached out to us a year ago when they came to Medicine Hat, and they were looking for a charity sponsor, and they were talking with the community, and all they kept hearing about was Halo and how Halo wanted to be a part of it and should be a part of it. And so we were partnering with them last year and back again this year. And Halo goes to farms and ranches almost more than anywhere else. And so farming's a dangerous business and can be long transport times before you can get the help you need. And so Halo can get to you very, very quickly. So being part of Cypress Farm and Ranch is a great opportunity to connect with the ag community, who have been great supporters of the program since the beginning.
Can you tell us a little bit about the region you cover?
Yeah, so from the Saskatchewan border, and based in Medicine Hat, we can fly east and south before we take you all the way to foothills in Calgary if that's the care you need, and everything in between. So the furthest mission west we've ever flown is at the Porcupine Hills right on the BC border, and we can go all the way down to the US border. We've had missions down into the Aden area, down into the Coots area, and then north to Oyen. When you get to about Lethbridge, our times for response start to match up with STARS, but we're able to cover a big part of the southern part of the province. And then honestly, there's been a number of calls where we've been on scene with STARS together, and those serious accidents, you want to get the help you can get as fast as possible.
You mentioned that you have a lot of farm and ranch. Can you explain, just in regards to having a helicopter, how that can land in spots where planes can't even get to, or ambulances might struggle?
Yeah, great question. So the helicopters cruise at 260, 270 kilometers an hour and go as the crow flies. So cover a lot of ground really quickly. And then our landing footprint is very small. So we land on a dolly at the hangar that's 14 feet by 14 feet. And so that's all the space we need. I mean, we want a bigger safety area around it. And we cause a lot of dust. The helicopter generates a Category 1 hurricane on landing, winds in excess of 130 kilometers an hour. But we can land in a farmer's field, in their yard, on a back road, a country road, up in the hills, whatever we need to do. And so with the help of the fire department, we get a nice, secure, safe landing spot, and we can get really close to the person who needs help. And then our paramedics get out of the helicopter and bring the equipment with them and get you stabilized, get you in the helicopter, and then we take you to the hospital you need to get to.
Right. Operating something like this is not free or cheap sort of thing. Why is it so important for people?
Yeah, so Halo first and foremost is a charity, and so we do have a little bit of support from the government, but we raise more than 65% of the total budget every single year. Our current budget is near $4.8 million, and so that's 365-day-a-year coverage. It's kind of like a fire department. Having it is what costs the most. Actually flying missions is quite affordable, so having it in the hangar ready to go. As we make this interview right now, the Halo, it's on pre-alert and waiting to see if it's going to be dispatched. The pilots are there, the paramedics are there, they're ready to go. And so being connected to the community matters. If it wasn't for the community, we wouldn't be able to raise that 65%. And events like Cypress Farm and Ranch help us connect with donors, connect with supporters, and expose ourselves to new people and tell our story really well.
Someone's hearing this interview and they're like, hey, I've got an event coming up, or I've got this initiative going on, so I'd love to partner.
Yeah.
How do they get it?
Yeah, the website's probably the best place for the sort of that source document. So haloairambulance.com, you can find our emails, our phone numbers, reach out. There is a third-party event package on there. So if you're hosting an event on our behalf, we help guide that for you and give you some tips and tricks. And then obviously we have our own events that there's corporate sponsorships and individual sponsorships available for as well. So go to the website, haloairambulance.com. Our lottery is running right now. Cattle or Cars lottery is on there. You can buy tickets in support. And then we have signature events throughout the year.
Good. And tell us a little bit about that lottery that you have to.
Yeah, Cattle or Cars, great initiative. When we first announced it, we got coverage across the country because people were like, what, you're giving cows away? And we actually are, so you could take cattle if you want. We have a great relationship with CD Land and Cattle out of Tabor, and so they help us with the cattle. And then a long-term partner, Sun City Ford, will give us a car. So this year it's a Bronco, and you can take the cash. If you just need the cash, you can take the cash. So sales are closing. It's draws coming up just later this month, and so on the website you can find a digital link to buy your tickets and get in on the lottery.
That's CEO Paul Carolson from Halo Air Ambulance, which serves southern Alberta. For more on Halo, please visit our website. We'll have a story up on that. And it's just awesome work that they're doing there at Halo. And I know there's a lot of people in southern Alberta owe their lives to the service that Halo provides with their air ambulance service, especially in the agriculture community.
shout out to Cypress Farm and Ranch Show. A great event. I think that was our first time there. And it was obviously, raising money for Halo was fantastic. And so kudos to them for that. All right, that pretty much wraps it up for this week's episode of the Rural Roots Canada podcast. On behalf of Craig Lester, I'm Tim Parent. Thanks for joining us.